Hello and welcome, guys, to another episode of Sports with Sunshine, powered by the Sports Lounge Media. I want to say a quick shout out to our sponsors, the Mogul Brand and the Diamond Collection. Thank you for powering the Sports Lounge, and thank you to the Sports Lounge for powering Sports with Sunshine. I know it's been a while, guys. We're getting back into the swing of things. We're going to start getting more consistent on the shows. Appreciate everyone for coming out tonight. I am joined by my fellow colleague and Sports Lounge media member, John Hamilton, who handles Sports Lounge Media bets, but he's also a ball knower. So I brought him on the pod tonight. We're going to be talking about a couple of things in pertains to the AFC. We're going to talk about his Niners and Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. Go ahead and introduce yourself for the audience there, my man, John.
Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to Sports Lounge Media and welcome with Sports with Sunshine. I'm John Hamilton. I do the Sports Lounge Media bets, as well as kind of giving you the rundown of everything of what we got betting this season for football and some other sports. So definitely pay attention, stay tuned. Make sure you guys follow all of the links listed below. Sports Lounge Media is going to be the headliner, featuring with new sports coming in a massive wave this year. So I'm very excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. I'm very excited. And guys, you can find all of this at our website, www.sportsloungemedia.com, where you can find all of our different shows, whether that's Sports with Sunshine, SLM Bets, the Down South Philly Show, any of these shows, Ken's Pats Talk. You guys know the deal. You can find all of our things at our website. Appreciate you guys for your continued support. The NFL season's right around the corner, right? We got 21 short days until the very first kickoff game in Canton, Ohio, where we're going to get to see some of these young guys play. I can't wait. There's a lot to be excited about. The NFL season's around the corner. Baseball season's heating up, man. A lot of things to be excited about, and man, I can't wait to have John on. John is going to be he's an expert analysis, like he said, in bets. So if you guys need to get your parlays right, we can't guarantee anything, but John will put you in a pretty damn good place.
Exactly. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of things to look out for the season. This is probably the biggest season for the most changes, especially offensively, that you're going to see from a lot of teams. And we're definitely going to dive into that based off some of the things that Sunshine's going to be talking about. But yeah, there's a lot of things that are going to move around the bets that aren't going to follow year after year like it has been for the last 3 years from 2020 into 2023. So definitely stay tuned for that for sure.
Exciting. Well, guys, we're going to kick off tonight's show. We're going to be taking a trip over to the AFC. I know we talk about these guys a lot, but of course, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. The big story over in the AFC. Is it a new era for the AFC? Is it time for Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson to finally take the reins in the AFC and be able to finally dethrone Patrick Mahomes? They have an 0-4 combined record in the playoffs against Patrick Mahomes. That's not really that much to write home about. Both of them have lost to him in the AFC Championship. Josh Allen twice. Now, while both of them have had decent games against him, more so Josh Allen, it's time for them to get over that hump, John. I'm tired of every season we come in and we're like, this is the year. This is finally the year that Baltimore and Buffalo get over the Patrick Mahomes hump. We say it every single year, but this year, I do think that we finally see at least Baltimore with their current stacked roster finally get over that hump. How are we feeling about it?
Yeah, I can't really disagree with you on that. I think this is the first year that the front office has really addressed the biggest issues with the defense and big secondary parts of picking up Starks in the draft. I think that was a massive, massive pickup for them. I think for both of these teams, and I agree with, this topic, is the Bills, and you also have the Ravens, both phenomenal teams, great season teams. They obviously have that hard hump to try to get over into the big game, but they're right there. They're literally right there. And one of them is going to make that giant push. There is going to be someone this year in the AFC that dethrones the Kansas City Chiefs, in my personal opinion. I think teams are getting stronger, and it's not that the Chiefs are getting any weaker. I just think everyone around the AFC, especially these two particular teams, are starting to become the new era and franchise for the AFC side of the football. So
100% agree. And I mean, a lot of people love to take the route that, these guys need more help, blah, 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 blah. I think that the Ravens have the potential to have a number one overall defense next season. Like you said, they have 4 all-pros at every secondary position now. The defense was incredible against the run a year ago. Now, while this is a new year and we need to see if this Ravens team can be up to par with last season, really the only thing holding the Ravens back was their pass defense, 28th in the NFL all the way up until week 10, week 11, when they kind of started to turn heel. But now, the Ravens, you look at the receiving core for the Ravens. You got Zay Flowers coming off of a 1,000-yard season. Whether you guys want to admit it or not, 1,000-yard seasons put you in that conversation as a true receiving receiver. You just need to be able to do it more consistently. You got Rashad Bateman coming off of one of his best statistical years as a pro. And then you got a seasoned vet in DeAndre Hopkins in this offense that is going to add clutch catches. Is DeAndre Hopkins going to have 1,000-yard years? No, I think he's a little bit past that point of his career. But in the goal line situation, in that red zone area, no reason to believe that DeAndre Hopkins cannot be a reliable target. As we've seen, Mark Andrews hasn't really been able to fit that bill of reliability in terms of, red zone, as we've seen last season. Hopefully he can make the jump back, because I do think when he's playing at his best, Mark Andrews is considered a top 5 tight end in the NFL. How do we feel about this Ravens offense coming into the season with Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, and Zay Flowers?
I personally think that Derrick Henry, just starting off in that particular position, he's the strongest, pure, formidable running back in the league. And now I'm not talking about running backs that are so multi-versatile nowadays, which they are. They're actually smaller in size. They're quicker. They're faster, a little bit stockier, and they are great with their hands. They're great with receptions. They play into a lot of different schemes. I think Derrick Henry is one of the last purebred running backs for his position. And the fact that he can still run the ball as efficiently as he has been for how many years since the Titans, and then doing it on the Ravens, having the success that he's had, I think that we're going to see a year for a big push with Derrick Henry. I think that's going to help Lamar Jackson alleviate a lot of the stress that's put onto him in the pocket. And I think they're going to continue a little bit more with the run game and clock management, which I think the Harbaugh family is really good with clock management in history. And I think allowing Derrick Henry to run the ball down, which he can easily gain 3, 4, 5 yards every down if need be for most defenses, that I think that's going to be something that's going to suit him pretty well. With the Bills, the big thing is Josh Allen, right? He's their X factor. He can run the ball. He's a big quarterback. Reminds me a lot of a more athletic Ben Roethlisberger. And I think he has a phenomenal arm. I still think he has many years to play in the league. I think that they've really started building pieces that are going to be for him, that are going to be better suited for him, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe they'll be able to stop some of the pushes that a lot of teams do in clutch moments. But I definitely think these two teams in particular, these are really key pieces for the AFC to see where they fit in the format for the next 3, 4, 5 years. So.
Agreed. And I think that when you look at the Buffalo Bills, they don't have quite the receiving power in their, room that the Ravens do. You have Khalil Shakir, who just got extended, coming off of an 800-yard season, one of his best as a pro. You got, Keon Coleman, the young rookie a year ago, who had a pretty good year, 500 yards, which, he's got to build on that. He's got to take that next step to be better for this receiving core. And then you got Joshua Palmer, who's kind of been around the league a little bit. He's a pretty reliable target, but again, it's not really that much of a target. He's only in the 500, 600-yard range. And Dawson Knox has been good in a pinch, but let's be honest, Dawson Knox isn't on the same level as Mark Andrews, whether you guys are still upset at him or not. James Cook was phenomenal for the Bills a year ago, whether that was running or catching the football. But all in all, I do think Josh Allen is doing it with less, in opposed to his counterpart of Lamar Jackson. But I do think both of these teams are built to compete in the AFC. The Bills got better defensively. You bring in Bosa. You re-sign Terrell Bernard, who has been sensational at linebacker. The secondary is a bit of a question mark for me in the Buffalo Bills. Can they be better in that, aspect? When it comes to the Ravens really don't have an excuse, in my opinion. I think that Baltimore is going to be very good defensively. Offensively, they just need to perform like they perform in the regular season in the playoffs, and they'll be fine. That Lamar needs to play within himself and stop trying to do it all when you got guys on your team and Derrick Henry that you can rely on to, get those tough yards. When you got, you got to have Zay Flowers step up and play better in the playoffs. And I know I'm very critical on Lamar, but we're going to talk about the entire Ravens team. All of these guys have got to step up. Zay Flowers has got to be more productive in the playoffs. He's got to be more of an open target. Mark Andrews cannot drop that football. He did it twice in the year. He did it against the Bills earlier in the year as well. You cannot drop that football twice if you want to be considered a top 5 tight end in the NFL. It's just as much on him as it is for Lamar. So as critical as I am of Lamar, his teammates also have got to show up with him. I'm excited to see if this is finally the year that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs do take that step back. I do think that as long as Patrick, Big Red, and bags are all in Kansas City, this team is going to be competitive. You still have Travis Kelce that can play at a high clip when he needs to. You got Hollywood Brown now back and healthy. The running game can be more consistent. Maybe Isaiah Pacheco's a little bit more healthy this season. The Kansas City Chiefs have just as many question marks as the Baltimore Ravens and the Bills in terms of what they're going to bring to the table. I think defensively, they might be a little bit on the better side. But right now, everything is screaming Baltimore to me, John.
Yeah, I agree. I think Baltimore has it a little easier than the Bills do, and it's not based off of the divisions necessarily. I think that the AFC North is one of the hardest divisions to play in. But going with the Bills in their division, I think they're going to have the record to get to the playoffs. But when you talk about playoff teams in the AFC, you're talking about the Ravens and who they're going to probably have to match up if they're going to take the division, right? So think about that. They're probably going to be playing the lower end bracket of the teams, right? So let's say the Dolphins squeak in, right? You really think that the Dolphins are going to overcome Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and the key pieces defensively that they've put together? I don't think so.
Very fair. Very fair.
Keon Coleman,
I think if either of these teams run into problems, it'll be when they play each other, whether that's in the divisional or the conference championship.
And I agree. And with Mark Andrews dropping the ball, he had six attempt passes to him in that game. And he had the biggest one that he needed to win that game. They knew the defense was not expecting for Mark Andrews to get the ball on the goal line. That's why they put the coverage the way they did. And he had a slant out right to the post. So I think that him dropping the ball, it comes with a lot. One, he's a blocking tight end. Okay. He's not mainly a catching tight end. And if he does, it's 5-yard in slants. And then when he does get the ball, he has a tendency, and we've seen it firsthand, for him to get the ball and look up before he has an opportunity in his hands already. So he's not making the key pieces that he needs to put together. But I do think this offseason, he knows that. He's aware there's a few things that needs to be worked on, and that's with any team across the NFL. I do think, however, the Bills have picked up the pieces like we've talked about that you brought up. Keon Coleman is going to be a huge.
Yeah, he was sensational a year ago. I'm excited to see him take that next step.
I mean, in college, 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns. Like, there's a lot of good things for Keon Coleman that are really going to be exemplary of what Josh Allen can do with him, because it does depend on the quarterback for how good you can make your wide receiver. Your talent as a wide receiver is only so much unless you're the top 5, where we have Chase, JJ, stuff, all those guys, right?
Yeah.
So Keon Coleman, still very young, still a huge career ahead of him. I see him being a very physical player, and especially the Bills wanting to get out of that hole. They don't want to play the Chiefs. They don't want to play the Ravens in the playoffs because they know how tough and gritty that game is going to be.
100% every time. And I completely agree with John. I think we have a lot of seeing to do. I think that right now the favorites in the AFC are without a doubt the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. They just got to take that next step, and if not, we're going to start to see because you got to think the Ravens have Isaiah Likely, who's also considered a top 10 tight end in the NFL after last season. He was very good in pass catching. If these guys can't start to figure it out, if the Baltimore Ravens can't figure it out with this defense, if Josh Allen can just never get over that hump, we'll start to see these guys' Super Bowl windows close, I think. And, speaking of Super Bowl windows, we're going to talk a little bit about a team that I think a lot of people have kind of written off, especially after a year of plagued injuries, and that's the San Francisco 49ers. Guys, you got to think of it this way. This is a football team since 2019 that has been in 3 NFC championships and 2 Super Bowls. It's not shabby. That's not like, oh, well. These guys have been in the conversation consistently over the last 7 years, okay? And I don't think that it's fair to just write these guys off because they had a season plagued with injuries. You got George Kittle battling a shoulder injury, Achilles injury with CMC, Ayuku and Debo both battling injuries. Not sure the extent of them. Brock Purdy's kind of having to do it all on his own, and Brock Purdy has never been painted as a guy that needs to do it on his own. I don't know why people want to act like nowadays with quarterbacks that if you can't do it on your own with the Walmart bag boy, you're not a good quarterback. Like, come on, guys. What do you want him to do? All of his guys are injured. You got young guys like my man Ricky Pearsall, who's getting crazy reps as a rookie. By the way, very excited for my man Slick Rick. I think he's going to take a huge step here in year 2. But yeah, Brock Purdy coming off a year in which he threw 3,800 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. And we're like, yeah, that's bad. With what he had? He didn't have his best running back. Dude was injured all year. Debo Samuels, Debo's going to Debo. He was injured part of the year. Kittle was battling shoulder injury. Guys, give Brock Purdy some grace. I'm not ready to write off this Niners team quite yet because I think Brock Purdy has shown you he can get you to that game and he can make you competitive in that game. Obviously, he's got to take the next step and win it. And the defense is going to be better with Robert Saleh back in Newton, San Francisco. I'm very excited for him to come back and really reshape that defense. You got Fred Warner. You got, you bring in Barron, who I think is going to be an incredible addition to the secondary. You got Travarius Ward, all these guys. But in your opinion, John, I know you're a Niners fan, so kind of give us an insight. What is all this talk about the Niners window closing?
Well, I think the first thing is for any team on the beginning of a new year, I don't think any window is closed for any team at the very beginning of a year, right? So everyone has the same fair chance. Granted, there are teams that have better players, a better roster, better coaching, healthier stat line, so forth, right? More to play for, right? It also does matter in the division that you're playing in, because if you have 4 playoff contending teams like the NFC North or even now the AFC West, it's going to be harder to get to that playoff game or the Super Bowl, right?
100%.
I don't think the window is closed for the 49ers. I do think that the Rams are a little bit stronger in the NFC West. I don't think the Cardinals are there. And I definitely don't think the Seattle Seahawks are there. I think there's a lot of uncertainties in the West right now. But with the 49ers, I think with the veterans they have on their team and them being as healthy as they are coming into the season and the rookies that they can help put under their wings, so to speak, I think it's a great opportunity for the 49ers and to really see what they're made out of. They know what they did last year. The league knows what they did last year. The fan bases definitely know what they did last year. I don't think we saw the true 49ers. I think we saw a team limp to where they needed to get for 6 wins, and some of those were borderline losses. Yeah. I really do believe the pressure is put on Purdy for that record being the way it was, and I disagree with it entirely. I think that he had the highest EPA. He had one of the highest QBR ratings that he had in last year. I think that it's easy to blame the quarterback in a system to where during the big games and the big moments, is it a quarterback issue? Is it a head coaching staff issue? Is it a health issue? Or is it all the pieces combined? It's really easy to point fingers at one guy, especially when you're not even doing anything and you're not even a part of it.
Quarterback's the easiest guy to blame. We see it all the time here in Philadelphia. When we're winning in Philly, it's, well, you got AJ Brown, you got Saquon, you got Smitty. Right when we lose, well, Jalen Hurts has never been able to hit passes. He can't throw the ball. He's not very good. So I understand that Brock Purdy gets an unnecessary amount of hate. I get it. And I hate the term system quarterback. Everyone loves to say, oh, he's a system quarterback. Hey, guys, newsflash. Everybody's a system quarterback.
Everyone is a system quarterback. I want to explain.
You build your system around your quarterback. Do you think Andy Reid's system is not built for Patrick Mahomes to succeed?
You get a playbook from every team. That playbook literally teaches you the system and how to play the position for your team. That is exactly why people think a system quarterback is relied upon how good the team is around them. That's not true. They still get the ball in their hands. They can control the momentum of the game, and they know when, how, and where to put the ball. If they're a good quarterback, they will succeed under pressure in clutch moments, which Brock Purdy has done. He's trailed 22 games in his career already, and he's come back for wins. He's the only rookie quarterback to beat Tom Brady ever. And he's also one of the highest QBR rating quarterbacks in the season of 2023. I think there's a lot of interesting things that you could look at. He came off of a tear in his shoulder on his right arm, and he came back and went to the Super Bowl. And he was leading until they went into overtime. That has a lot to do with the defensive side of the ball and not necessarily the offside of the offensive side of the ball. I think the window for the 49ers is definitely not an easy thing to say that it's just closed. I think there's too much talent on the roster, and I think based off our schedule, we have the easiest schedule in the NFL. You think that they're not going to
definitely benefits San Francisco.
It benefits 100%. It would benefit any team, right? We were supposed to go to the Super Bowl last year. We were favored, and we didn't. And that's okay. Things happen. Injuries happen. Players don't want to play. There's attitudes. People get frustrated when you're losing. However, when
hey, Washington fans, get ready.
As
soon as y'all start losing, I promise it's coming.
Exactly. Look at Brandon Ayuk, right? There's a little bit of drama going on there, inside and outside of the locker room, on X, everything like that, right? People seeing these things. I still think we have a good wide receiver core. I don't think it's elite.
Yeah, I mean, we look at it, right? You got Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, and Ricky Parcells right now as the leading guys.
Jacob Cowan too. He's not a slump either.
And D-Rob. D-Rob's done some really good things while he was with the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
You got George Kittle, who in my opinion is the best tight end playing football right now. Yes, I have him over Travis Kelce. I've had him over Travis Kelce, by the way, for the last 2 years. So just if you're going to say, oh, you only have him because Travis Kelce's old, I've had him over Travis Kelce for the last 2 or 3 years. So you got George Kittle. You got Ricky Parcell, who is primed to take that next step. Juwan Jennings is an older guy that's been around. He's reliable. If Brandon Ayuk can get his stuff together, get healthy, he's a good downfield threat. Like you said, Jacob Cowing's a young guy that's coming up. And then you got Demarcus Robinson, who has played substantial snaps with a guy like Matthew Stafford. So he's been in big moments. When you look at this receiving room, you're not looking at it like you look at the Eagles or like you look at Cincinnati. You're not like, oh, wow, like you got guys everywhere.
Even the Cowboys now with Pick and CeeDee Lamb.
Right. So, yes, it's a middle of the road receiving room, but guys, teams have won Super Bowls. Look at when Patrick Mahomes beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl a few years ago. Go look at that receiving room. That was not a receiving room that stood out to everyone where you were like, wow, look at all these guys. And that's why Patrick Mahomes is, heralded the way that he is. He got it done with who he had. And who did he have there? He had Martez Scantling. He had, I think he had, no, he didn't even have Tyreek. This was after that.
Tyreek's second, or Patrick Mahomes' second year with Tyreek. Yeah.
This was the year they beat us in the Super Bowl. He didn't have a great receiver.
You're talking about that year. Yeah.
Yeah, they did not have a great receiving room. So it's possible to be a successful team without a receiving room. And I like to bring up this point, like I talked about this earlier on TikTok, is just because your quarterback is performing poorly or even greatly. Look at Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had an incredible statistic year a year ago. Dude was incredible. Where was he come January? Where was he come February? He was on the couch, because it takes more than just your quarterback playing well for your team to go deep in the playoffs. It's a team sport. Everybody's got to play well. And here's a prime example.
A prime example of that, and that's a great point, by the way, Sunshine, is that you have literally Jalen Hurts statistically across ESPN and NFL as ranked 18th in QB in all stats. And not saying that he's actually 18th. I have him higher than that, just strictly as the talent that he can provide for his team. Okay. I put, Jalen Hurts in the top 10 conversation for sure, but he's ranked 18th in the league, right? So you have that compared to Joe Burrow.
We're talking pure passing numbers, right? Like as a pure
passing numbers. So you have Joe Burrow with just under that 5,000 threshold, and then you have Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts got a bowl. Yeah. So where are you pointing fingers? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the team or that one player does. It's proven that a quarterback doesn't have to be a Joe Burrow, doesn't have to be Joe Montana or a Tom Brady that wins Super Bowls. Like you can
100%.
Put someone in. Yeah, you can put someone in that's going to make sense for your players. There's a reason that they relied so much on the run game and the defensive side of Philadelphia. Philadelphia was a shutdown team completely last year. They did a great job, and they didn't need to do anything different. They didn't need to be a Joe Burrow.
I wish people would talk about this more. We had one of the best defensive performances we have seen in this era, okay? And you had a running back that was getting whatever he wanted against whoever he wanted. So why would you throw the foot? Like, I get it. We need to be better at throwing the football this season. If the Eagles want to go back-to-back and do all that kind of stuff, we have to be better than 28th. That's not going to cut it. But a year ago, if you're an offensive coordinator in the NFL and you want to get paid those big bucks and your running back is going for 4.3, 5.3 yards per carry a clip, why on – and Saquon, by the way, was, I believe, at 6.2 at one point. Why on earth would you as an offensive coordinator say, what we should do? We should throw the ball. Why? You got a dude that's getting it done. Because why? Because Joe Smo on TikTok said that Jalen Hurts needs to throw more so he can see him as an elite quarterback. Hey, Joe, keep your stats. We'll take chips.
You never need to reinvent the wheel if something is working. 100%. If something is formidable and something is consistent, and there's other teams that are watching these tapes, they have the players' locker room meetings, they sit down in the theater room, they watch what their opponent is doing, and they're still incapable of stopping someone that has the talent to push the ball down the hash marks, man. I'm telling you right now that we will probably not see a 2000 season next year from Saquon, but we're going to see a very high volume carry, push down the field offense with Saquon. I really truly believe he's going to break 1,500.
Yeah,
Vegas
I got him in that 15, 18 range.
Vegas has him going for 1,600 and over. So,
well, when we look at it, man, I think that I couldn't agree with you more. Just to say that someone's window's closed as it pertains to the 49ers is a little crazy to me, especially with how much success, as you see at the ticker, how much success they've had since 2019 in terms of playing and competing for championships. Now, don't get me wrong, we need to start winning some of those, but like, yeah. You could be in Pittsburgh's boat where you make the playoffs every year, but you never make it past the divisional round.
Well, go ahead. The thing really quick with that I wanted to mention is, like, let's look at all the players that are coming back healthy. The most dominant running back besides Saquon and Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, one of the best hands in the game as a running back, one of the best blocking running backs in the league.
Oh, he's a top 3 running back.
He's in there. He's in there for the conversation. He's coming back healthy.
You can put him at
Isaac Guerrero, the fastest running back in the league. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have people that are going to step in. They're going to ball out this year. You have a healthy Kittle. He's not dealing with his rib injury anymore and his shoulder injury. You have Ricky Pearsall that got injured earlier for reasons that we all already know, and he came back. He played. He balled out in a few of those games. He's going to be a great wide receiver 3. You have Jawan Jennings that will literally jump over you and get that ball. Very similar play style as A.J. Brown and CeeDee Lamb. Not as good yet, but I do see a lot of
hasn't had the production similar play style.
Correct. Definitely hasn't had the production and a defense. You got Robert back as the defensive coordinator, in my opinion, the best defensive coordinator in the league. That man is a savage, and he's going to put together an insane defense.
The best defensive coordinator in the league is in Philadelphia. Yeah. But no, I'm just playing.
Maybe last year, okay. But I'm telling you, Fred Warner is going to lead that team. Nick Bosa, by the way, this is the biggest takeaway defensively for the 49ers, is that Nick Bosa has not been drafted a new defensive lineman to help him out on the other side of the ball since
Mikael Williams.
Now we have Mikael Williams. So you tell me you're going to stop a 6'7", 300-pound, just under 300-pound fridge that can run a 4.5 that has hands that are 13 inches across, and you're going to stop him? I don't think so. Not unless you're the offensive line of Philadelphia or the offensive line of the 49ers. There's no way. There's no way you're stopping him. You got 2 huge guys on both sides of the ball. And then in the interior, you have great new rookies and brand new trade. And then you have Fred Warner right up the middle, the scout, the pass, or the run. There's no way. Come on.
Very excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. I am excited for everyone in the NFL. I'm very excited to prove a lot of people wrong as a 49er fan to see the success that they have. And I genuinely, and I mean this wholeheartedly, I love when people think that we're not going to do good this year, because with our schedule, with the coaching staff, with the healthy players back, and who we picked up in the draft, I can see a team easily making it to the playoffs. Vegas has us going 12-5. I have them going 11-6. I think it's an easy team to get into the wild card spot, if not possibly the first seed in the NFC West.
Very exciting stuff. The 49ers window not quite closed yet. Guys, I want to take a minute to say thank you to everybody in the chat. If you need to find this replay, you can go on Sports with Sunshine at YouTube, on my YouTube, as well as www.sportsloungemedia.com, where you can find Sports with Sunshine. Go on there. Leave a comment. I want to hear what you guys think. Are the Baltimore Ravens and the Bills set up for to win the AFC this season? Is the 49ers window really closed? I want to hear from you guys. So make sure you go into the comments, leave a comment, hit a like, drop a share, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button on both Sports with Sunshine and the Sports Lounge Media. Next, we're going to talk about a topic that a lot of people have been talking about since, the beginning of the offseason. It took him a while to make a decision, but he finally did. And that's that man, Aaron Rodgers. In Pittsburgh. Does he move the needle in Pittsburgh? I'm not convinced. I think that when we look at Aaron Rodgers, his time in the NFL, I think, has definitely passed him by. I think he's at a point in his career where, I don't necessarily know that he's going to go out and win you games. Is that me saying that Aaron Rodgers can't go win games? No. But when you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, depth chart, I mean, it's not that much more impressive than the Jets. You switch out DK Metcalf for, Garrett Wilson. You get Calvin Austin and Robert Woods back there instead of the guys at the Jets. The offensive line isn't that much better than the Jets. And then Jaylen Warren did some good things, but, the Jets had a pretty decent run game. They just seem very similar to me. And even defensively, the Jets were good defensively against the run. The Niners were in the middle of were middle of the road. The Niners were good at getting after the quarterback, but outside of that, I don't know. I do think that the 49ers definitely have a better defense than the Jets. You look at, Patrick Queen, TJ Watt, if he resigns and comes back to Pittsburgh, and you bring in Darius Slay, who adds a veteran presence. I mean, a lot of people say that Darius Slay's a little bit older, but he's coming off of one of his best statistical years in man coverage with the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Darius Slay still has things to add to Pittsburgh. But in terms of Aaron Rodgers, I don't necessarily know that Aaron Rodgers is going to turn Pittsburgh into this well-oiled machine. You still got to play Baltimore twice in that all-star defense. You got to play the Bengals that are going to go toe-for-toe with you on the offensive side of the ball. And then you got the Browns that usually play their division pretty tough. So I don't know. We're going to have to see what Aaron Rodgers can get done. I think that, like I said, he's past the point of changing games as a quarterback. Interesting to see if he can take the Pittsburgh Steelers further than Russell Wilson did.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm interested to see what he does. Based off what I've seen in the Jets, I don't think that's the true Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, I think he had a very bad year, very bad coaching stuff behind him. Could have been a bad playbook calls. It may not even been the talent issues. It could have been the playbook style, because he does have to maintain the playbook calls, because that's what the coach is paid to do. He has to do it. He has to follow rules, and he has to lead his team the best he can with the calls that he's allowed to have. So with that being said, Mike Tomlin, one of the most successful winning coaches in the league. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be an okay fit for them. I think we're going to see more productivity and accuracy out of Aaron Rodgers, especially with some of the weapons that they have. However, I don't think he's the reigning answer. I think he's the bridge across the gap for the next year's draft to pick up some formidable quarterbacks.
Right. Can he teach Will Howard? He's a good guy for Will Howard to learn from.
I agree.
Because I do think Will Howard is going to get the reins next year, because Aaron Rodgers has already come out and said this will be his last year in the NFL.
Correct. Will Howard, he just won a national title, and he's so slept on as a quarterback. I think he had a very strong team around him. It was a massive coaching staff, a massive successful specialty position team for him to be as successful as he was, but he is a really good secondary defensive read quarterback. And I think that would really, really fit under Mike Tomlin's scheme, right?
That's a good thing to think about.
Running back, split I formation quarterback, double tight end. He has a lot of weapons that he can pass to. And if they go back,
I'm excited to watch him play with Pat Freiermuth. I think that's going to be a very, 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 very good team up, because, in my opinion, Pat F is one of the best possession tight ends in the league right now.
Well, think about this. If DK stays there, right, and DK does really well this year and does even better next year, and Howard does start, you're going to tell me that Howard, with a semi-accurate arm in comparison to everyone in the league, can't just throw up the ball and have DK just jump up and get it?
He did it at Ohio State with Jeremiah Smith.
That's what I'm saying. How is that not even like comparison? It is. It's a perfect comparison.
Yeah, I think it's going to be down to, can the Steelers defense be as dominant as it normally is? Can they get a consistent run game to take a little bit of pressure off of Aaron Rodgers? Because if you back up and give Aaron Rodgers the opportunity, he'll pick you apart. He's shown that he can do that.
Do you think that getting rid of Najee was the right answer for the Steelers?
I thought that Jaylen Warren had a better year than Najee did. I think Najee will flourish with the Chargers. I think that's a perfect system.
I agree. Yeah.
Very excited to see what happens over there. But guys, I do want to hear what you guys have to say on the subject, as well as always. Drop it in the chat after the video. Hit a like, hit a subscribe. Let me know if you do truly believe Aaron Rodgers is going to turn things around in Pittsburgh. I still think it's Baltimore's division to dominate. I do think the Bengals are going to be more involved in that division than people think they are, because if the Bengals can even be a little bit better, they don't even have to be good. They just have to be a little bit better on defense than they were a year ago. Joe Burrow showed you that he can rip you apart through the air. He doesn't care who he's got playing on defense. Joe Burrow, in my opinion, I got him in my top 5 quarterbacks, but he as a pure thrower, it's got to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. So I think that, the Bengals are going to be in that conversation. The Browns are obviously light years away from being competitive, but they usually play their division pretty tough. Excited to see what's going to happen. Guys, I want to say thank you to everybody who came out tonight and hung out with me and my man, John. I know we ran over our time a little bit, but sometimes when you get to talking sports and things are going well, you just got to do what you got to do. Wait, hold on. We got one right here. My man Marshall says he has a 1-year answer. Even if he is, Pittsburgh and Baltimore may have some battles. I can agree with you, Marsh. I do think that, the teams to beat in that division are going to be Baltimore and Pittsburgh, but hear me out. I think the Bengals are going to give more problems to these teams than people think they are. I'm very excited to see how Cincinnati responds. Obviously, they have to bring some of their players back before I'm comfortable saying they're going to compete for the division. When I do my predictions in the coming weeks, I probably won't have them in. I'll probably have them at third, but time will tell. Guys, thank you for coming out tonight. I appreciate everyone. I say thank you to the Sports Lounge Media for powering Sports with Sunshine and making us what it is. Thank you to our sponsors, the Mogul Brand, the Mogul Brand and the Diamond Collection. Thank you for making the Sports Lounge Media what it is. And you guys, the fans, thank you so much for making the Sports Lounge Media a premier place to get your sports information, whether it's the NFL, the MLB, the NHL, college sports, you name it, the Sports Lounge Media has it. Guys, we have some huge things coming this season. As you see, my man to my right is going to be running SLM Bets, where he's going to make you absolutely filthy, stinking rich. Hopefully. We can't guarantee anything. But at the end of the day, very excited for that. Very excited for the Red Zone. My man Fantasy in the chat, my man The Marshall Experience has you on anything that has to do with fantasy. You ratch over there. I know I'm going to go over there once the fantasy season starts. We're even going to be doing a fantasy league within the Sports Lounge that you guys can kind of talk about. I appreciate all of you, man. This is going to be a really fun year. And guys, football is right around the corner. John, thank you for taking some time out of your day to come and talk some sports, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Hope to be back on sometime soon.
Absolutely. You guys check out John's show. I do believe he's going to be going live today, right? At what time?
Here in about 2 hours from now, I'll be live. I'm going to be up at the casino, actually.
Incredible.
I'm going to be talking about some of the betting and how to kind of process the bets, what to look out for this year, give you guys some really healthy key examples, something that's going to be a little bit more safer. So definitely stay tuned for that.
Excited, guys. I know where I'm going to be in about 2 hours. I'm definitely going to be there watching. I better see all of you there too. As it pertains, guys, to the Sports Lounge, thank you guys for coming and hanging out on Sports with Sunshine. I will see you guys on Monday, where we're going to talk some more sports around the NFL. As for right now, though, thank you so much for your support. I will see you guys on Monday. And as always, go Birds.